All right, we are live. I will just wait a few seconds and let people trickle in before we get started with today's event. And it's a very exciting event that we have, I have to say. All right, well, I think we can kick off now. So, hello, Finimizers, and welcome to another Finimize Live. So, my name is Reda. I'm an analyst here at Finimize, and I am very excited to host today's event, your 2024 Crypto Investing Roadmap with our partner, SwissBorg. Now, before we start, just some quick and easy housekeeping rules to run through. First of all, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, tell us where you're tuning in from, and be sure to switch the message to all attendees. That way everyone can see your messages. Second of all, just in terms of format, the way this is going to work is that we're going to have a 15-minute conversation with our guest today, followed by a 15-minute audience Q&A. And that takes me to my third and final point. On the Q&A, please use the Q&A box provided below in Zoom to post your questions to our guest today. And if you see a question that you like, be sure to upvote it. That way we can get through the most upvoted questions first, and it's a better use of everyone's time, essentially. So let's kick off. Our event partner for today is SwissBorg. So they are a community-centric financial ecosystem helping individuals manage their wealth. You can explore the SwissBorg app to buy, sell, and exchange digital assets with fiat currencies. Now, by leveraging cutting-edge technology, SwissBorg ensures a secure and user-friendly experience, delivering safe and secure trade execution. You can also try their wealth management app, which will provide you with the necessary tools to manage your portfolio of digital assets like experts. So today I'm joined by Cyrus Fazel, the founder and CEO of SwissBorg. How are you doing today, Cyrus?
I'm doing great. Very, very excited to be here with you guys. I learned a lot about Finimize recently. So yeah, yeah, it's the best time to get a strong interest in this space, and I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we kicked off the new year with a lot of news on the crypto front. Obviously, the first spot Bitcoin ETFs being launched, and I feel this kind of renewed interest in the space. So this is great timing indeed. So kind of let's kick off straight, to our questions and sort of touching on that. What are some of the primary reasons investors should consider cryptocurrency in their portfolios this year?
Yeah, I think so. That's really a very great question. I think so. If you look in general at any portfolio, right, that has done 60-40, if you just have added 1% up to 5% to exposure to crypto or just Bitcoin itself, you would have, almost have a sharp ratio of twice as good. That means you'd have much better returns and less volatility by investing in that and with adding that. And if you only invested in crypto, you would have probably a very wild round, but you would have outperformed everyone. Right? It's been the best performing asset class that we have ever seen, ever. Again, it's better than anything that we witnessed. So I think so. For at least the financial side, it makes a lot of sense to anyone today to have exposure to crypto and probably to get more than just Bitcoin itself, to get to understand, what are the products, what's the technology, and why we're doing all this.
Amazing. And maybe just talking a bit more practically on that, in terms of sort of portfolio diversification, how much exposure to crypto do you think the average investor should have? I know you said if you included 1% in your portfolio, the risk-adjusted returns would have improved. Is 1% the number? Is it a different number? What kind of level of exposure do you recommend to retail investors?
Yeah, I mean, I have so it really depends on your risk level at the end, right? What you know is that the more risk you take in anything, the better the returns are probably if you're investing smartly in the right asset class. So it really depends on the risk tolerance of everyone and depends as well the liquidity. What we witnessed in the last, 3 or 4 cycles of crypto, which we've seen maybe only 1 or 2 big macro cycles or 3 cycles in the last and 12 years, is that very often they go with 4 years. So if you need liquidity or risk profile is quite low, I would at least have 5% of crypto within your wallet, within your portfolio. If you have more risk, like risk preference yourself, this is myself. I think so. Yeah, 80%, 85% of crypto. So, and I'm very happy. And I come from the traditional world. So it's not like I don't like stocks or, I worked for different hedge funds, private banks in the past for 10 years. So it's just that I understood that this is my thing. And I always say to invest not in what you know, but invest in what you use. And I use a lot of crypto. So there you go.
And just a quick follow-up on that, I mean, 85% is a high number, right? To put in your wealth, 85% of your wealth in crypto. But in terms of, I'm assuming there's some diversification within that, right? Like it's not all in one sort of coin. So is that kind of how you approach your sort of crypto portfolio? Is it spread out across kind of the blue chip crypto names or some kind of mix of blue chip versus upcoming coins?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, Rita. So similar to what we believe, what's doing very well in the world of stocks, we done some similar strategy, which is that you have a core portfolio and then you have satellites. And essentially, the core is the less risky type of tokens, and then the satellites are the ones that will, react in a very volatile, even extremely more volatile world than the core itself. So, really, the core today is the king and the queen. The king being Bitcoin, and the queen being Ethereum. Those two are the ones that consist of a core. So you could do 60% of that and 40% of satellites, or do the opposite if you feel that essentially you're more interested in having a more volatile and type of portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And even in traditional investing, I always thought core satellite approach made a lot of sense. So that is definitely sensible. And okay, so kind of touching on these sort of upcoming tokens and all that, but maybe taking a wider view, can you sort of identify and talk us through some of the biggest trends within crypto this year and perhaps beyond?
Right. If I just may, I'm just gonna share my screen just 2 seconds. Like that, it could help maybe people to visualize a bit better what we're saying here. But I really want to make this statement, which is quite important here. So I know that everyone, and since now that Bitcoin has been legitimated through this IPO, right? It just happened last week. I call this IPO because it's the first time we're in the space, and if people still have doubts, okay, Franklin Templeton, which is probably one of the oldest asset manager and to some extent a little bit boring, they changed their profile picture to red laser eyes, which means Bitcoin. Okay, so this shows how much as essentially the CEO herself, Jenny Johnson, talking about that they're so excited about what happened last week, about having an ETF in Bitcoin and how they believe that crypto is the future and blockchain is the future, and how they're positioned in a way that this is really going to a game changer. And I really wanted just to really take a time here and understand that this is the this is the first big stamp that the market wanted to show, that this is an asset class, that this asset class has a technology that no other technology has really came to right now to change how we interact financially, at the least. Socially as well, governance, there's so many other different things, but at least financially. Since the NASDAQ with Swift protocol in the 70s, there's nothing that has really changed the game. But this is changing massively. And if you look at, same of what Larry Fink said, he just is so bullish about the founder of the CEO of BlackRock is so bullish about Bitcoin and the technology behind, which is crypto and blockchain. The second thing that is very important here to understand is this. Wrong button, sorry about that. Is you guys could see my screen, right? We're good, yeah?
Yeah, we can.
So within this asset class or in this industry, I still think there is essentially 4 different or 5 different asset classes, which first we created essentially blockchain to replace money or payments, right? And this is Bitcoin itself, Litecoin. It could be as well mem tokens if you want, because they're framed for payment. This is really the payment. These are cryptocurrencies, right? The second one is really the platforms or the blockchains, right? So you have Ethereum, which is the queen. There's a lot of applications that built on it, but it really is like a highway or platform or an iOS system, operating system that you build on top of it. And right now there's Ethereum that's really good, but then you have Solana, which is just rising, Avalanche that's doing great. And you have a lot of different platforms that are these layer 1s. And then to make it a little bit more complicated, you have some layer 2s that work with these platforms, but make them more scalable or make the transactions cheaper or change the security features. The third one is utility tokens, such as SwissBorg, where essentially you have an application and you have a token that essentially manages this applications, like a membership token, a governance token, or different other usage of these tokens. The fourth is security tokens. So it's how to digitize any type of, tangible share, any type of security that you could put on the blockchain itself. So for this, you have all these stable coins. You have a lot of different, any type of commodities. And essentially, these are real world assets that we know and some that we don't know. There will be tokenization, a lot of different things. And last but not least, you have NFTs, which essentially is a proof that you hold a piece of digital good on the blockchain that's not divisible, it's not fungible. So it could be an art, it could be, an artifact in a video game, it could be a sleeve, it could be whatever you want. It could be a regular contract as well of, for example, real estate whatsoever, that you essentially are the owner of this contract. So this is first the big thing that we should narrow down, that they might have so many payment tokens. We might have, dozens or more of blockchains. We might have billions of utility tokens, trillions of security, and NFTs, there's no limit, because the video game itself could already have more than billions of those. So this is why we should not talk about cryptocurrencies, but crypto assets. The currencies is just one part of it, which is more the payments for as such. So this is, sorry, I got a little bit on the sidetrack, but I think so this is very, very important to understand as first, Rita.
No, absolutely. That's really useful. And I think you touched on quite a few questions I did want to ask in terms of, upcoming tokens that you find interesting and so on. Perhaps I just want to shoot one last question before we move to audience Q&A. Obviously, we know some of the benefits in terms, let's say, portfolio diversification and potential for returns with crypto investing. It's always important to touch on potential risks. So in your opinion, what are some of the biggest risks associated with crypto investing? And one perhaps would be nice for you to focus on is regulations. So do you see upcoming regulations impacting the crypto market this year and beyond, or not really?
Great both questions. And most, this is very important. This is the riskiest asset class. And again, it's the one that has the most juice, right? It always goes in bear. And you should think about these numbers, right? The first cycle, I don't talk about too much the first cycle, because to be into Bitcoin prior to 2014, 15, it was really early stage. It was very few people that were in it. And obviously, there was 150,000% to be made on Bitcoin, but then you would have lost 80% roughly. And you have all these cycles that have a different narrative, have different type of people that come in. And essentially, there's always, as you see, just, multiples to be made, from, 45x to 4.5x to 2 and a 3x. It goes quite rapidly, right? And the whole space itself moves with Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You have those cores that move. The king and the queen makes a lot of noise, and then the princes and the princesses and all the Jackson whatsoever, then they start getting a lot of traction too. So there's definitely a lot to be made, but then you have to essentially, what we think is that you have to take profits a little bit more than what you do in the stock market. The stock market, you could play, you're going to have a drawdown, maybe a 30%, 40% of your portfolio. That's the worst case scenario most times with traditional stocks if you're quite diversified. I could ensure you one thing. If you're invested in crypto, there's 95% chances that you're going to lose 70% at one time. So what does that mean? Is that you need to be more active. What it means is that you need to take profits a little bit more, even if it's not the end of the rally. We are in this new bull cycle, right? Just started probably Q4 of last year, and it will probably last between 12 to 18 months, right? So I would say in this next 2024 and 2025, people should start to lock some profits in. It's very important. And they go probably those profits and whatever, something that has less of this cycle type of play. But we definitely see, our estimations, for Bitcoin is at a let's say okay case would be at least over 100. In a better case, it would be 150,000, and in a really bull case, it would be over 200,000. And with Ethereum itself, in a so-so case, base case, it would be probably at least 7,000 to 8,000. And a better case would be probably 8,000. It would be 10,000, and in a very bull case, this could both go to probably $12,000-13,000 per Ether. So we definitely feel that, again, we're very early, and I think so. Congratulations, Finimize, to get people to get interested and hopefully invest. We're still in a very, very early case of this bull market. And then for regulation, yeah, I mean, now that we legitimate this space with this beautiful ETF, in Europe, I think so the regulation is extremely well done. We have MiCA that's coming this year. MiCA is the market information something assets, crypto assets. So essentially, it's like, for those who understand how the European has based the AFMD, which is the main regulation for traditional assets, they did something similar for crypto assets. So in other case, market participants such as SwissBorg will be able to get these licenses and then cover essentially all the European markets in a very good way, in a harmonized way. And this is based on KYC and AML, some risk operations and things like that. So this is really good. The FCA, as well as taking its own approach, has really taken a bit the reins and trying to as well regulate this in a very similar way, I think so, and in a very smart way to protect, of course, people, to understand suitability, the risk that's behind all these different, the financial risk, the operation risk that you have within the crypto space. So things are going very much aligned with how this new cycle is bringing traction and spotlights to the industry.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Very insightful. I want to jump to audience Q&A. We have about 10 minutes left, and we have quite a lot of interesting questions to go through, so I'm going to jump straight into that. And the first one comes from Shaykh, and then he's asking, can you share some strategies to analyze the performance of cryptos? Do you look at any markers for upcoming cryptos, if they will be successful or not? So basically, how do you analyze specific tokens?
Right. So the Bible of it could be CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. So what everyone's always going to do is going to try to find what's to be the next Bitcoin. And that means people are going to participate a lot into a lot of ventures. And, we're born out of one of these ventures. If you had invested back in the days, you probably are happy today. But it's very hard to invest into something new that will have traction and that will try to live these cycles. We are now living our third cycle, which is very rare. So if you look at most crypto projects, they usually die within 1 or 2 cycles. So this is something you already have to. So if you invest into 10 projects, there's a very high chance if this project is an emergent project, 2 of them will survive and probably do some amazing returns, but 8 out of 10 will die. Okay, so if you want to go for something new, try to do it, but put very small portion. And there's a lot of different launch pads. SwissBorg has a launch pad, and other different platforms, offer different launch pads. And I think so that's a good thing. But you have to diversify the highest way, and you have to really do a lot of due diligence, which is not that easy. The second way to do that is to look at narratives. And so last year in the Q4 with Solana, anything that was essentially on Solana did extremely well. We're talking about 500% plus within 3 months. So 5x on most of these projects. And you're always trying to figure out what are the big next narratives that's on the market. And with SwissBorg, we like right now 3-4 different narratives. The first one is AI, because a lot of thing that has doing with AI essentially is changing the game, and AI and blockchain goes very well together. So there's a lot of different tokens regarding AI that we do like. The other narrative that we like very much is GameFi. There's still a lot of projects that are being built, not so many projects that are being played. So it's still very new, but we believe that people want a game, people want to play. So yeah, that's definitely something that we strongly believe in. The other narrative that we like is social anything regarding social media, because everyone that uses essential internet is using social media. So social media on chain is even better. It enables you to protect your data, enables you to build essentially your own profile that belongs to you and your communities that go with it. So there's a lot of narratives regarding that. And last but not least, I would say those are the 3 big narratives that then there's always DeFi, decentralized financial application. That was the last narrative in the 2020, 2021 narrative. But these are the 4 or 5 different narratives that we love. And then is how do you find the different projects? Well, we hope that we create some good ones at SwissBorg. That's what we try to do. We have different launchpad activities, and we try to filter out the whole noise by doing so. That's one way. Maybe another thing that I could as well, for those that don't want to do this whole hard homework, which I completely understand. You guys still see my screen here?
Yeah.
Cool. We have like different thematics at SwissBorg. So these are like baskets of tokens. And so far we've had essentially this is a new one there we're about to use probably, but we have these different thematics. So it's a basket of tokens. So here I have all the best blockchains. Here it's more basing on gaming. So you want to offer these baskets saying like, okay, maybe there's 10 tokens, 5 of them will do well, 3 of them will do horrible, and 2 of them will die. And then at least those 5 ones will do extremely well to essentially perform well on the long run. And of course, we reshuffle them within it. So this takes a bit the hard work out of it, out of this. But yeah, I don't know if I answered the question there, but I would always look at a top down. So look at essentially different different narratives, and then try to within those narratives dive and look into the tokens itself. And if you don't have the time, well, then we create baskets of tokens at SwissBorg that essentially buy these different tokens and rebalance within your own portfolio. It's a bit like an ETF to some extent, but you're owner of all the tokens.
Sounds very cool. And then I want to jump to the next question that comes from Julia. So I've been advised to invest in blockchain or a blockchain ETF rather than crypto itself. Please, can you expand on why this is an optimal or not an optimal strategy?
So, I mean, it depends really. What I said earlier is that you invest in not what you understand, you invest in what you use. And I think so this is very paramount. Like, if you actually have I have a Tesla, right? Car. I own Tesla shares because, well, I used the car and I like it very much, and I like to see new Teslas going forward, and eventually I'm connected to the mission that's behind it, which is sustainable energy, right? So I think that's how you should interact with Web3 and crypto. We know well that Web1 was a nice way to, read and potentially live it right. Web 2 was a way where all these big GAFTAs, they monetized your data and sold it, and you're a bit the product all the time because you think you're using something for free, but you're essentially, they're playing the tricks on you, and essentially you're not really fairly rewarded for that. Web 3 is a vision where it's a bit different. It's trying to prove that you as a user are the prince, the princess, and you are the one that should be rewarded fairly. And this is going to happen if you want it, if you don't want it. Same which I said for the last 8 years about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and SwissBorg, is that the way how Web3 is advancing is that this is going to be in your everyday life, and people then are going to get used to it. And I think so this is where you have to start to understand why you're not just getting this as an exposure in an asset class, but you're trying to play with this technology. Because sooner or later, anyway, these things are going to be in your common day life. But if you're buying it through, through SwissBorg or different exchanges, you start using this platform. Then after the ether that you receive, you could stake it. You could validate these nodes with tokens. You could potentially vote. You could interact in a different way. And then you're not only investing into a new asset class, you're actually participating in this asset class. And the more you get into crypto, the more you start to understanding that how you can empower yourself and how you could really get more to just invest, to understand the products, understand the communities, understand the philosophy behind every project, and just get really, jumped into that rabbit hole and get amazed. And if you're a gamer, if you like social media, if you like finance, you go into DeFi whatsoever, you will find something that you will like very much. And if you're technical or non-technical, it doesn't really matter. You will always find something that will suit you very well on a social, experience, on a financial experience, on a technological product. It doesn't really matter. But then you part of something bigger than just investing.
Absolutely. I think we might have time for one very quick one before we have to wrap up. So this one's coming from Royzen, basically asking, so being in the UK, I cannot buy the new Bitcoin ETFs. Am I right with this understanding? Is there a way to invest otherwise in Bitcoin ETFs if the investor is based in the UK?
So I'm not specifically sure how this is done through the UK, right? I mean, probably there is. I mean, for retail, I mean, for institutional, there's a lot of different solutions. For retail as an ETF, not too sure how this works yet. But sooner or later, BlackRock will, your iShares, all these things, you could buy it through any broker, right? So sooner or later, everyone will be able to get into any of this. There'll be a UCITS, ETF fund, whatever. They'll figure this out. And if not, there's a lot of different crypto companies such as ours that, you're able to buy this in a rapid way. And I think so, again, it's interesting as an investment. It's even better as a product, as a technology, and in a lifestyle, because that's what, when you get to understand and fully grasp what's Web3, then you understand that even if it takes some of your time, you'll be the catalyst of your future and not, passive and just let the thing get to you eventually.
Absolutely. That was very insightful. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Cyrus, thank you very much for these amazing insights and presentation and all that. Thank you all for joining us. I hope this has been informative and helpful. Please remember to fill in the feedback box that'll pop up on your screens after this ends. We hope you enjoyed the event, and we'll see you at the next one. Cyrus, thank you once again.
Much love. Take care, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.